Moment of silence for the champions, for those who make going hard a lifestyle. Never wait for nothing, gotta get it right now.
What's up, Packer fans? Welcome back to Cheesehead Talk. It's your boy Tramel coming back with another video. We're starting a new division profile playlist discussing all of our opponents in the NFC North. In this video, we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions, or some of you may know them as the Detroit Kitty Cats. But before I start the video, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers, Motor City Sports Talk. He's a Detroit YouTuber. He talks Detroit sports. He's a funny guy. He keeps it real. So go check his channel out at Motor City Sports Talk. But back to the video. The Detroit Lions finished last in the division last season, and they finished with a record of 5-11. And coming into 2019, since the NFC North is so stacked, I think the Lions have the least chance to win the division. But I do think they have a good chance to win the division. They're a much more improved team. They're really slept on. A lot of people are sleeping on this Detroit Lions team. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did win the division. But I do think they have the least chance to win it. Let's talk about why this team struggled so bad in 2018. They had a lot of holes on this team last season. Matthew Stafford played with a fractured back. Kerryon Johnson battled injuries. They had holes on that offensive line. They didn't have a tight end threat last season. They had holes at the middle linebacker position. They had holes at the cornerback position besides Darius Slay. So they had a lot of holes on their team last season. And you take a look at some stats for them in 2018. Let's look at them on the offensive side of the ball. They finished 23rd in rushing, 20th in passing, and 24th in total offense. They only averaged 20.3 points per game. And a lot of people would ask, why did they struggle so bad on the offensive side of the ball when they had so much talent? They had Matthew Stafford, Kerryon Johnson, LeGarrette Blount, Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay. They even had Golden Tate for a few games. So why did they struggle so bad and only average 20.3 points per game? And my answer to you guys would be offensive coordinator, Jim Bob Cooter. I think he was the problem in Detroit last season. And they were just too pass happy last year. They did finish 18th in total rushing attempts per game, but they were just too pass happy. And like I said, they were 18th in total rushing attempts, which isn't that bad. But the thing was, they weren't giving the right guy the carries. They were giving the carries to LeGarrette Blount when the carries really should have gone to Kerryon Johnson. And it really reminds me a lot of the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Jones. He wasn't getting enough carries with Green Bay last season. And it's the same story with Kerryon Johnson. I believe if Kerryon Johnson would have got the carries like he should have, Detroit would have won a few more games last season. They would have won more games, and their offense would have put up more points than what they did, and they wouldn't have struggled as bad. They would have opened up the passing game for the Detroit Lions because they did have some talented receivers. And now Jim Bob Cooter is gone from the team, and we'll talk about that later on. But let's look at the defensive side of the football for the Detroit Lions. This was their strong suit for the team last year. They finished 10th against the run. They finished 8th against the pass. And they were 10th in total defense. So last season, defense wasn't the problem last year for the Detroit Lions. They were very strong on the defensive side of the football. The offense really struggled, and that was their weak point of the football team last season. And you take a look at what they did this offseason. I believe they had the best free agency in 2019. They made a lot of moves, a lot of quiet moves that people are not talking about. They signed Trey Flowers. He's back with his defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia. That might work out very well for the team. Also, they picked up Danny Amendola in the slot. They also picked up Jesse James. As I mentioned earlier, they didn't have a tight end threat. Now they have a good tight end. They also signed Justin Coleman. He's a good slot corner. That was a hole for them last season, the cornerback position. And then you take a look at their draft. I really wasn't big on their draft. The only pick that I liked back in April was TJ Hockenson. He was the best tight end in the 2019 draft. That was the only pick that I liked for them back in April. But watching the preseason, I'm liking their second round pick, Jelani Tavai, the linebacker. He's been pretty good in the preseason. He's been impressive. Also, the running back that they drafted, I believe is in the 5th or the 6th round, Ty Johnson. He's a good running back. He can run the ball, and he can catch out the backfield, and he can run routes. So they have some good players that they picked up in free agency and in the draft. So they've improved a lot. They also picked up Mike Daniels from the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers released him, and the Detroit Lions picked him up off of waivers. They offered him an $8 million contract. So now the Detroit Lions have some very talented players on this team. On the offensive side of the ball, they got Matthew Stafford, Kerryon Johnson, who I believe is very slept on. I think he's going to have a breakout season in 2019. They got Kenny Golladay. He's a 1,000-yard receiver. They got, on the defensive side of the ball, Quandre Diggs. He's an up-and-coming player. Darius Slay. He's a solidified top 10 corner. They have Trey Flowers. He could be big on this football team. Then you got Snacks Harrison. He's one of the best in the business right now. Deshaun Hand. He's a solid defensive lineman. And then you also have Mike Daniels. So this team was a top 10 defense last season, and they got better. And then they got better on the offensive side of the ball as well. And they also have a new offensive coordinator in Darrell Bevell. Darrell Bevell, he's a guy who loves to run the football. He's changing this Detroit Lions blueprint, and they're going to be a run-first team now. And I think because of that, Kerryon Johnson's going to have a breakout season coming into 2019. So this is a much more improved Detroit Lions team, and I don't believe they're a pushover anymore. I don't think this is the same 5-11 Detroit Lions team. I think they have a chance to make it to the playoffs, and if not, win the division. They've improved on both sides of the football. I think their offense in 2019 will go from below average to above average. And then they had a top 10 defense last season that got even better this offseason. So I think they'll be somewhere close to a top 5 defense in 2019. But it's going to be very tough to win the division in the NFC North. The NFC North has the best division in football. And it's going to be very interesting to see who wins the division in 2019. But that's my team profile for the Detroit Lions. They're really slept on coming into the 2019 season. And a lot of Green Bay Packer fans probably won't agree with me, but they didn't agree with me last year about the Chicago Bears when I said they weren't a pushover. And they ended up winning the division last season at 12-4. So all I'm saying is anything can happen. Stay woke, because this Detroit Lions team isn't a pushover. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you agree, if you disagree, let me know your thoughts. Also, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and go Pack Go.